88.3 FM, the Catholic radio station for all. 17 minutes past 9 o'clock. Thank you so much, my dear listener, wherever you tuned in from. Thank you for staying tuned to Radio Mini 88.3 FM and into the final hour of Wow Mini Soul Food. And being a Monday, you know, it is Answers from a Catholic, all right? And today, I told you on Answers from a Catholic segment, we continue with the conversation that we began last week, a conversation that is shaping our homes, a conversation that is shaping our workplaces, our politics, and even our faith conversations, my dear listener. And that is all around artificial intelligence, AI, okay? And we hear about AI everywhere, my dear listener. It writes, it speaks, it creates images, it predicts behavior, okay? It even imitates human voices. But what exactly is AI? Is it something to fear? Is it a tool? Is it moral? Okay. And as Catholics, how do we approach it with wisdom and responsibility, and above all, with the truth? So today on this show, my dear listener, we move from understanding what AI is to exploring its types, its risks, okay, like deep fakes, its impact on work, and especially here in Kenya. And finally, what we as the public can responsibly do. And that is why this morning I'm joined in studio by Jack and my dear sister Betsy. Yes, Betsy, how are you?
I'm fine, thanks you, Bram. How are you?
Very fine. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Hey, finally umekanyaga Radio Mini. Hey, si Mungu ashukuriwe milele.
Kabisa. Milele amina.
Yani Jack amekuvuta mpaka umefika.
It took a whole week of convincing.
A whole week of convincing. But finally you are here.
Yes.
Anyway, how are you?
I'm good.
Okay, karibu sana, Betsy.
Asante.
Welcome to Radio Mini, and I really am honored to have you this morning. But first things first, kindly introduce yourself with what you do before we dive into the conversation this morning.
Okay, so I'm Betsy Mureithi. I'm a research fellow at iLab Africa. iLab Africa is a research and innovation center in Strathmore University. I work specifically under the data science unit, where we do research, build innovations around these new technologies of AI, Internet of Things, but with the aim of driving data-driven decision-making, so being able to make more informed decisions and democratizing that capability to everyone, including farmers, doctors, and everyday citizens.
Okay,
yeah.
Including us as journalists.
Yes.
Because after this, I'll be tapping into you. Hata mimi nataka kujua hii AI ni nini. But anyway, karibu sana.
Asante sana.
Jack.
Yes.
How are you, my brother?
I'm very fine. Happy New Year.
Bwana, Happy New Year. The last time I met you, I was like, is it a year ago?
No, towards the end of last year.
Anyway, ulivuka 2026 salama?
Unaniona hapa. Niko. Bora tuko hai. That's the most important.
Karibu sana. Thank you for bringing Betsy this morning. I really want to hear more about AI. But above all, Jack, kindly introduce yourself with what we do before we go on with the conversation.
Jack Owito is my name, and I'm a member of this wonderful group, Answers from a Catholic, where we've been talking more about our faith and trying to amplify the Catholic message. And my background is in law. I resolve cases out of court, but most of all right now I do administration in a trust.
Okay. Yeah. Administration in a trust. That's a conversation for another day. We'll want to know what exactly you mean. Yes. But today, we are having a conversation that we began last week with Akina Patrick here about artificial intelligence. And this is a conversation, Jack, that is gaining a lot of momentum, all right? From where you are seated, Jack, where does AI and matters faith meet?
This is something that AI has become part of our life, and we are human beings, and at the end of the day, you'll find that all these things that we interact with affect our faith and our interactions with everything. And Pope Leo, actually, who's now a current Pope, has come in during the digital revolution. And it's Pope Leo the 13th was in the Industrial Revolution, but now you find that we are heavily influenced by technology and artificial intelligence, and it affects how we interact in our faith. So it's something that's very important, a very important conversation. However, the person who's a very good specialist in it is Betsy. She can explain to us a bit of the technicalities.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, and that is where I bring her in. Betsy, we hear a lot about AI, artificial intelligence. When people hear about artificial intelligence, what does it actually mean?
Right. So artificial intelligence encompasses a suite of tools that basically use data and algorithms. An algorithm is basically, mathematical formulas or procedures that have been coded or have been written in a programming language for software to understand. And so you use these technologies, they use data and algorithms to find patterns, make predictions, or generate outputs so that computers can basically do things like understand language, recommend content, support decision making. All of us, when we are coming here, we've been using Google Maps. So Google Maps basically uses data, location data from everyone's phone to be able to identify which roads are congested, and then it uses optimization to be able to give you a better route. So it optimizes against time and congestion to see, okay, if you use this route, you'll get here faster, or if you use this shortcut, you might reduce the time, or you might spend less time in traffic. So those are just everyday tools that we use. Even basic Microsoft Word, it has those red squiggly lines when you make a wrong if you type a word wrong, right?
Yeah.
It has that red line. That's AI. So that's a computer understanding that you misspell this word, and it can even provide a correction. And now we are seeing with the generative AI, it's even able to suggest the next word.
Okay.
Yeah.
And talking about suggestion, you've used several words here: coded, programming language, output, understanding language. Then that brings me to a question. It is called artificial intelligence. Is it really intelligent, or is it simply advanced programming?
Right, so that's one of the biggest philosophical debates, because now we are going into debates.
Yeah.
So at the moment, artificial intelligence is just training machines to do certain tasks. So you give it data, it learns the patterns, it's able to specify certain tasks. So I wouldn't say intelligence, because what is intelligence, right? Does conscience also include intelligence, and can a machine have conscience, and then that makes it intelligence? So at the moment, it's something beyond more advanced programming, but at the basic level, yes, it is advanced programming, to be honest, because a lot of the algorithms is just very advanced coding in computer science and math.
Okay. So how does it differ from normal computer software?
So with these ones, you are training an algorithm to learn, so you have different flavors. You have, the main technique is called machine learning, and within machine learning you have different flavors. You have supervised machine learning. So this is when you want to predict something specific using past data. So for example, I'm a coffee farmer. I'm from Kirinyaga, so I'll use coffee farming. So I'm a farmer who wants to predict, this year I got this yield, in the past 10 years this has been my yield. Can I predict what I'll get next year? So you give it data on the coffee yields. I give it data. I can also give it data on weather. I can give it data on my soil patterns. And then using that data, it's able to make connections within that data that a human might not necessarily be able to, or even basic spreadsheets might not be able to find those patterns, to say that normally when you water, or if it rains at this stage of flowering, you will lose a specific amount of crop. Or in the coming season, if the rain is going to be this amount, this is what you expect in terms of your yield. So it's just advanced computation. There are things like unsupervised machine learning, where you give data and you give machines or an algorithm data, a large data set, and you ask it to find patterns or groupings. For example, Safaricom collects a lot of transactional data on us, and you can ask an algorithm based on demographics, usage, transaction patterns, can you identify groups within this data? So you can identify people who are professionals, people who are hustlers, people who are youth, and then use that data to create targets, or create bundles for those people, or proper messaging for them to take up your services, basically.
Okay.
So it's just different levels of computing that can, using data, to be able to identify patterns and then make predictions.
Okay. So how does this AI then learn from data without being explicitly programmed step by step?
So it's programmed step by step. So there are different technologies. So we all did statistics at some point. So things like logistic regression have been used. So with logistic regression, you give the logistic regression is the algorithm, right? And so if you have data, for example, the one I gave you, crop yields, you have the variables and you have the target outcome, which is predict how much coffee I will harvest this year based on weather, soil. And so you just train that logistic regression model, and then over time it gets better with more data, and you use computer science to automate that. So you can put it on an app. You can include things like satellite data to automate it for yourself. So every time it's just monitoring the conditions and giving you predictions.
Okay.
Yeah.
So does it really think, or it's only identifying patterns?
You are getting into that's the main, nobody has an answer yet. So at the moment, it's just identifying patterns at the moment.
Okay.
And so there's this debate around what you're calling artificial general intelligence versus narrow AI. So narrow AI is where we are at, where the AI is specialized to achieve specific tasks. So for example, generative AI is where you have deep learning models that are able to generate content, whether it's text or visuals. But if you ask it to clean your house, it can't, right?
Okay.
So the goal for the past, since the mid-50s, if you can imagine, AI researchers have been aiming to build all-purpose intelligent machines that have human-scale knowledge base. So an example is, we all watched Terminator when we were children. So Arnold Schwarzenegger was a robot, but we realized later on that he was a robot, but he had agency. So he could say, oh, the future is like this, so I need to go back in time to fix X, Y, Z, so that the future, nobody instructed him to do that, right? So will we ever get there? That's the big debate. So a lot of money is being poured into making AI algorithms possess world knowledge on a physical, biological, and social level, with the assumption that they'll become intelligent and become more self-aware and reflective. So in terms of, you think of yourself, you're able to have transferable skills. So you're trained on one thing, but you can do other tasks, right? At the moment, AI can do that. It's trained specifically on a specific task. If you remove it out of that environment, it performs poorly and it needs to be retrained.
Okay.
But the debate and a lot of money basically is being poured. And there's a lot of debate should that much money be poured on achieving artificial general intelligence? There have been a lot of winters, what we call AI winters, whereby there's been a lot of promise and companies not being able to fulfill those promises, so funding dries out. And I think right now we are should it be the fourth or the third wave in terms of the hype around AI, because we are starting to see use cases in business. So it's being able to make a return on investment, more or less, although companies like OpenAI are still not turning a profit, but there's a real business value, especially around monetization of data and adverts. So if you think about social media and how they make their money is on targeted advertising to people, using data that they collect to make more engaging content and keep people on their platforms, so that you see more adverts and they're able to sell those that time and basically sell your attention to another company and profit off that.
Okay. So, let me take you a little bit behind. You've mentioned machine learning, all right? And in it, you've given us the two main flavors that are used by AI.
Yeah.
First of all, when you talk about flavors, what does that mean in this particular context?
Yes, so a flavor is just a classification or a type.
Okay.
So under machine learning, you have different things you can do with it.
All right.
And that's what classifies the flavors of machine learning.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So there comes in supervised machine learning,
Yes,
and unsupervised machine learning. So what is supervised machine learning in simple terms?
In simple terms, supervised machine learning is where you want the computer to make predictions on a known outcome. For example, I want to predict my coffee yields.
Yeah.
I want to be able to predict which group, whether you are, if I give you a loan, especially for banks, if I give you a loan, will you be able to repay it based on your characteristics? So I'll have your demographics, I'll have your education level, and then I'll look based on similar people who have given this loan to, will you default? And if you're going to default, at what rate will it should I give you a loan so that I don't go on a loss?
So in other words, this machine is learning patterns
Yes.
from the data I'm giving it.
Yes, so past data plus the data you'll give it.
All right.
Yeah.
That is all about supervised machine learning. What about the unsupervised machine learning?
So unsupervised machine learning is if you don't know what the outcome is. So you have a bunch of data. So example is I'm starting a business. So I want to start a micro credit loaning company.
Yeah.
But I don't know how people, for example, if my target is boda drivers, I don't know what a credit-worthy boda driver looks like, right? And so I'll get data from maybe Fuliza, from Safaricom, because we use a lot of Fuliza, and I can look at, okay, for this group of boda drivers, this is the Fuliza data, and so can I learn the groups? So this group is people who take loans at a short time, maybe a weekly loan, but then they'll repay it immediately. And then this other group will take a month loan, but it'll take them a bit longer. And so I can stratify them and decide, okay, I don't want to focus on the people who will take long. I'll focus on the people who will repay faster because I'm still starting. So I can't give out long-term loans. I can do short-term. So you get Fuliza data. It hasn't labeled anything, so I don't know who is who. You use the algorithms to identify those patterns.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now that you've explained those two flavors, which type is more commonly used today?
So they are all used. The other flavors, I'm changanyisho of the two. So there's semi-supervised, there's reinforcement learning. So they are all used in different ways. So for example, Netflix. We all watch Netflix.
Yeah.
When you watch something, it tells you you will like this, and this next. And so, or YouTube, when you watch a video, it recommends another video. And so that uses things like reinforcement learning, which is supervised. I've learned from what you like, and then I will, give you suggestions of what you're probably to click next. Again, to keep you on the YouTube so that you don't leave.
Yeah.
So it will give you suggestions for you to keep watching. So it uses things like reinforcement learning. So it depends again on the task, but all of them are used. So in terms of the specific algorithms used within the type of flavors, deep learning is becoming one of the most popular and being one of the most giving interesting use cases at the moment. So deep learning, again, it's not a flavor. Within those flavors, you have different algorithms or different methods within each.
Yeah.
So deep learning is just one of those methods that uses something called neural networks. And so researchers say it mimics the way brain thinks, but there's a lot of debate in terms of how well it can mimic how our brain does the connections. But basically, it's just an AI model. You can think of it as a classroom of class 1 students, or a school where you have class 1, class 2, class 3. So in class 1, you have a layer that takes in raw data and breaks it down into its constituent parts. So in class 1, you're learning A, B, C, you're learning A, E, I, O, U.
Okay.
And then it has another layer. So in class 2, you start building words. So A is for apple, B is for, and you start writing. And then it has another layer that now starts building sentences. So you can think of it, class 3 can now use the initial data to build sentences based on probability. And then it goes on and on and on until Form 4, you can write a whole essay or an insha, right?
Okay.
So it breaks down, takes raw data. You don't have to label it. It's mostly unsupervised. It breaks it down into its constituent parts, and then it sort of rebuilds it using probability. So I know if I say A is 4, it knows probability of saying apple next is 90%, so it will say A is for apple.
All right.
Yeah.
Now that it uses probability, Betsy, how correct is it?
It depends. It depends. So again, within the machine learning, you have to measure, and you have to measure to what extent are you okay with the error of probability. So not all systems are 100%. The ones which are out there, there's a level of probability you're okay with,
Yes.
right? So for example, if I'm building a model to predict if a patient has cancer or not, right? There are levels of accuracy you can measure. So you can measure how well the algorithm will perform based on identifying cancer patients truly, or how wrong a model will do in terms of not identifying a cancer patient. And so for you as the expert, you will judge what is the cost of misidentifying a cancer patient versus someone who has cancer. So some models may perform very well at identifying cancer patients and very poorly at not identifying cancer patients. And so you'll say, okay, I can live with that because it's doing very well at identifying cancer patients. The extra expense of telling someone who doesn't have cancer to go for an MRI is very small because of the impact of not identifying cancer early. So there are different levels of measuring accuracy, the sensitivity, specificity, but that's very complicated we can unpack at
another conversation.
Or you can come to iLab, we have training courses.
Okay. I will.
We have certifications.
All right.
And
the reason I still have asked that question is that as you're explaining, I am on my phone prompting ChatGPT.
Yes.
Guess the prompt.
What's the prompt?
I'm feeling a headache.
Yes.
Joint pain.
Yes.
And sweating.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Prescribe a medication.
Yes.
Listen to the reply. Pole sana. Headache plus joint pain plus sweating can mean several things. From a simple viral infection to something like malaria or flu, especially here in Kenya. I'm not a doctor, but there is safe guidance you can follow. It says for immediate symptoms relief, you can take paracetamol, in brackets Panadol.
Yeah.
Number 2, Brufen. Okay.
Yes.
That is what it has told me.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Now, for those people who don't have time to verify,
Yes.
okay,
Yeah.
the correctness of this information, I will simply run close to the chemist next to and get paracetamol. That is exactly what we are doing. Okay. People are using AI to self-examine themselves, for example. Okay, and that is now why I wanted to know, because it uses probability, how sure are we in terms of information? It is now cascading even into the education sector, whereby our Gen Zs have adopted AI 100%. Okay, you give an assignment, they go to AI, prompt it, and they copy paste. All right, are those some of the what can we do to measure the correctness of this kind of information, Betsy?
Right. So generative AI, we have to first unpack what it is.
Yes.
Right? It's not an all-knowing being.
Okay.
So generative AI uses these deep learning models that I've explained, whereby you have neural networks that break down information. So it used all the data in the web. So they mined all the known data that is on the web, whether it's books, documents. So for this one, probably it has in the database, medical guidelines. You don't know which guidelines were they using, Kenya guidelines, were they using US guidelines? Mostly it's US guidelines, to be honest, because a lot of the data mined was from the US. And so it takes all this data, breaks it up, and then identify probabilities. So you gave it headache, you gave it limp joint, you gave it sweating, right? It's not a doctor. So it will give you what in the web, if you Google the same thing, you'll probably get the same instructions, right? You'll go to a website, it will give you. So it uses websites, so it compiles information on the web to give you a probable response, right? Is it scientific in terms of medical? Probably not, because if you go to a hospital, before they prescribe you something, they'll have to do tests to see, do you have malaria? Is it a flu? If it's a flu, is it viral? Is it bacterial? And so you can't go self-medicate based off of a chatbot. Now, there are ways to use this. So there's a lot of applications in using generative AI, which is the chatbots that we are seeing in medical. But you expose it to a professional in terms of diagnosis. And with that, you are able to create guardrails And what are guardrails? Guardrails are basically, because the chatbot is a general purpose, it will use all the information in the internet to give you a response. So you can say, these are the guardrails. If someone says that they have, I don't know, headache, limb, and whatever, probably don't say it's malaria, because people very quickly run to the hospital. Nasikia tu kidogo niko na malaria, you go get medicine. So you can put guardrails in your chatbot and say that do not prescribe medication, because that is wrong, right? Because you will be liable if someone takes the wrong medication. But then there's a whole debate, will you go sue OpenAI because you went and took malaria drugs and you didn't have malaria? Although now people are starting to sue them because of different adverse outcomes from using these chatbots, but we'll talk about that later.
All right.
And so you can put, if I say I have a chatbot that I want to implement in my health center to help clinicians make diagnoses and do proper prescribing, I can give it a specific data set and say, only look at these data sets, which have been verified by the Kenyan government to be the accurate way to treat certain diseases. And then you put guardrails and say, do not respond beyond this. And then if a case is very complicated, refer it to a human. And so we've seen there are tools like Jacaranda Healthcare have an app that helps mothers during their pregnancy to just answer simple questions. And then if a question is too complicated, it tells the mother to go to a hospital. So it's able to identify risks. If a mother has been complaining of a headache for the past 3 days, it might be a sign of high blood pressure. Go to a hospital. So it doesn't prescribe medicine for you. But if you say, oh, I feel the baby is playing, it tells you, okay, just monitor it. So there are simple things, low risk things that you can ask the AI. In terms of education, I think there's a bit of debate there as well, in terms of how well. So there's research that has said if you use AI a lot, it affects your critical thinking. A lot of that research has been done on people working. The research that's been done on education, there hasn't been any done in Kenya so far, which is a bit worrying, and we need to do it. But in places like South America, I don't know if it's Brazil, it showed some improvement in terms of education outcomes, because you have like a personal tutor. It's able to gauge how well you're understanding things and modify content. But in those systems, it's working with the teachers, not as a replacement of the teachers. So if you bring it to our context, whereby you have 100 students to one teacher and you want an AI to teach the 50, what impact does it have on learning outcomes? We haven't studied that yet. In the workplace, there's a lot of issues around negating your work to AI. There are some people says it gives more work because you now have to clean up the AI. A lot of these companies are now hiring writers to clean up the slop that AI generates. There's a lot of work from Microsoft as well showing that critical thinking is affected because you just give the AI work. We saw in Australia the consulting company that was sued because it gave reports. You are paid for a report, you give a generative AI and you give without checking, even doing the basic bare minimum. So it's about doing this responsible AI use, both from the developers and both from the users that is needed.
When you talk about generative AI, Betsy, in simple terms, what is it? Generative, what is it?
So it's AI that can generate, can create content based on a user's prompt,
like ChatGPT.
Like ChatGPT, Cloud, DALI for images and videos. So there's so many nowadays.
Gemini,
Gemini,
those, And then there is also generative AI and deepfake. This help us understand the two.
All right, so deepfakes, a while back, maybe 10 years ago, maybe 5 years ago. So deepfakes used to be a very technical thing to do. So you would need voice cloning. So I get a sentence that you say, and then I train an AI model to replicate your voice using sound signatures. So you need someone who's very skilled to do that, to clone your voice based on, I just need a sentence, and I can clone your voice using algorithms. But you need to code, right? You need someone who's good at video editing for me to now fix your face to the mouth to move to match with the voice, what you're saying. And then you need also strong image manipulation, so someone who's very good at Photoshop.
Yeah.
But nowadays with generative AI, because we saw people giving their images and you're asking generative AI to create what am I, right?
It's like what has been happening.
Yes, right?
Yeah, whereby somebody gives ChatGPT the image and say, create a caricature of me.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So nowadays it's become very easy because now algorithms don't need you to be skilled. It can do it itself, right?
Okay.
It can generate the content. And we saw during the June,
The 2024.
people
Gen Z.
generating images to voice their dissent. It doesn't require, so if I needed to generate that type of image back in 5 years, I'd call my sister and tell her, Ebu, go on Photoshop, I want you to do this and this and this. But now with generative AI, I can do it myself and just prompt or put instructions on Gemini, OpenAI, tell it, generate an image of the president in a coffin, and it does it without you opening Photoshop.
All right.
And so it makes deepfakes easier to produce and easier to spread.
Okay.
Especially misinformation, because misinformation travels very fast.
Exactly.
More sensational stuff.
Because I really wanted to know the dangers of deepfakes.
Yes. Yeah, so I think I normally tell Jack, why are you watching AI videos? Because it's hard, it's very easy to produce. So if you are a content creator, you can create 100 videos in a day using AI, right? You can imagine a content creator who goes out there, dances, does their two skits, but with AI you can do 100 of those. And so you're seeing Instagram, TikTok is just full of AI images of cats doing stuff, because cats break the internet, so it's the easiest content to get reaction on, whether it's a like, a repost, or someone just watching. Again, remember, social media is about keeping your eyes on the application. So it's easy, very fast to create these images and very fast to spread them. So all it takes is a like, a retweet, and the algorithms keep the more famous or more popular content is, the faster it's propagated.
Okay.
So that's the key issue with deepfakes. It's hard to identify what a deepfake is. Although now there's a lot of pressure on companies like OpenAI, Gemini, to watermark, so to create a watermark, so that when you're watching a video, there's like a sign over there at the bottom that says this content is generated by AI. So you've seen magazines, they put like a small warning of sort that this content is generated, so that you are aware this is probably fake. But now the problem is people are people, so I can just crop it out and then post. So it's for us to be aware. So if you see content, so if you see a cat dancing like a human, there's no harm done. But if you see a video, I think it was John Alanamu who shared on Twitter a deep fake of him saying some story, right? You have to pause and verify, right? Especially if it evokes your emotion negatively. Positively, maybe not, you can just move on. So if it evokes a specific negative response, just pause, verify. You can reverse image search to see if especially if it's deep fake around news, verify with other news outlets, as people also are established news outlets reposting this. Check the source. Is it a credible person who's posted this? I remember there's a time on Twitter, there's a dignitary who reposted a fake, a generated fake news image, which was very funny. But so trusted sources, whoever trusted sources are, if it's a friend, if someone has generated content on your friend, you're like, this is probably not true, just, reach out to them and say, oh, you have seen this video online, is it you? Triangulate, so look at multiple trustworthy resources, and then basically just be disciplined, especially around reposting things around politics, conflict, or urgent breaking news. Before you repost, do verification.
And that's exactly what we really insist, doing verification. And in regards to doing verification, Betsy, there is also growing pressure to the industries, especially when it comes to the usage of generative AI, or using the images or the content from artificial intelligence to label or
Yes.
to tag?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
how is that done?
So there are two ways. So one is metadata. So that's a bit technical, because metadata, when you take an image, normally if you take an image on your camera, for example, it attaches some information onto it. So it will attach, maybe if you have location enabled, it will attach where you took the photo, it will attach the time, it will attach what else, the type of phone you took it from.
Yeah.
So that's able to identify the image in terms of verification. So now there's a lot of push for open generative AI companies, like I think OpenAI, for example. It tags metadata. So that one requires a bit of work, because metadata is normally you right click and then see properties. So it's a bit tedious if you're not technical to go check what's the metadata. So the metadata will tell you where the content came from, if it's OpenAI, who created it, blah, 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 to be able to enable. The other way is to watermark. So we normally see a watermark is basically just a label on top, the one I was telling you, generated by AI.
Yeah.
Or if you have documents that say do not circulate or confidential, those are watermarks. So putting that on top of an image. But I haven't seen a lot of those, to be honest. But again, it's up. There's no way, there are no laws requiring these companies to do that. So if someone generates images using their systems and they don't watermark them as AI, it doesn't go back to the big companies. It's us as users to be a bit disciplined.
Okay.
And there's always going to be malicious users out there.
All right.
Yeah.
And talking about the users, right now, AI is with us here. It is here to stay. It is for us to learn how to use it.
Yeah.
Okay. Bringing it now to the working environment, how is AI affecting jobs today?
Right. So I think the most careers affected now are things like people who do screen-based, tech-savvy routine work. So like editors, reading, writing, summarizing, searching. So things like customer service, whereby if it's a simple FAQ question, you have chatbots handling common questions, and then more serious questions are routed to an agent, a human agent. Or administrative work like scheduling. I think Google is starting to do things like that. Things like graphic design. Now I don't need a graphic designer to create nice PowerPoint templates. I can do it myself. Basic marketing. If I was to start a company and I don't know where to start in terms of marketing and comms, I can just use a chatbot to create a weekly schedule for me to post content on Instagram. I can create basic, we've seen all the ads now. People are, instead of using models, you use AI to generate images. And things like that. Although in terms of marketing, there's a bit of an argument there, whereby luxury brands still retain human content, human-generated content, while mass markets are shifting to AI-generated content. So now luxury brands are like, our marketing is based on human content, and that's why we maintain that luxury. While kawaida mass market, we just get the AI generated stuff, which has an argument around consumerism and class warfare would change around that. Entry level analytics. So nowadays, if you want to do basic analytics, there are some softwares out there that can do summaries, do visualizations for you. And junior software development tasks, like just building the basic code. You can get a software, if you want to build an app today, Bram, a basic app to just have your information, or your website to say, welcome, I am Bram. You can use an AI to do that. So basically, it's automating tasks that, require basic information. Like I said, the quality is in there. So there's a company called Klarna, which does pay later, buy now, pay later. And they fired 700 of their customer care agents, saying we will replace them with AI in 2024. But early 2025, they had to hire back their customer care agents because the AI couldn't handle complex queries.
Yeah.
And customers also prefer talking to a human.
Exactly, human interaction.
Yeah.
And you see that kind of hue and cry all over. Some companies that are using AI, you call customer care, but you're talking to AI or whatever, a robot on the other end, all right? So it breeds a lot of difficulties. Thanks for that, Betsy. Let me now get back to my brother, Jack. Now that Betsy has now given us a background of what AI is all about. Now, as Catholics, what moral principles should guide our use of AI?
Yes, basically, AI is something that we should use very responsibly, and it's something that's already with us, as you've stated. And the more you've had Betsy talking about it, you realize that it's something that we are using a lot. So, like now, Pope Leo actually has spoken quite a bit about it. And just a few weeks ago, during the 60th World Day of Social Communications, he spoke extensively about AI. And some of the themes that came up were things like to do with social media engagement systems and how they degrade critical thinking and increase polarization. This is something that we see a lot. We spoke about June 25th.
Yeah.
And you can see that there was a lot of content being pushed on the internet or whatever. Whenever there's any big event, there's a lot of social content that's pushed. And all these things, if you look at human beings, these days I think we've become even more fickle.
Yeah.
Because we are very emotional, quick emotion, things like there's a lot of outrage and easy consensus if you get data from things from AI. And also, it degrades a lot of our critical thinking. Honestly, these days, even when you're thinking of doing something, mostly people will just go. Before, it used to be Google is your friend.
Yeah.
Now AI is your
AI
friend.
is your friend.
Because anything you tell someone to do something, ChatGPT. For me, it's a pity that even sometime last year, towards the end of last year, I saw a newspaper article that was written, and at the bottom you could actually see someone just prompted AI and generated a whole article.
Yeah.
So even the ability to think critically, and especially the creative environment, anything around creativity is disappearing because, as she said, things to do with music, videos. These days people are using more of AI.
Yeah.
So it's killing the human creative industry. And that's something that's at risk of being dismantled. And yeah, you've heard about labels. You will just see things now powered by AI. So where does that put human beings?
All right.
Again, another thing is on relationships. These days there are more synthetic relationships. And you'll find people have AI companions. You might not hear about it much, but in the developed world, it's something that's happening. And then one thing that we have to make Kenyans very aware of is that we have, when it comes to internet, basically the exposure of people to the internet is very high. We are considered to be what is a third world country, but our access to social media and the internet generally is very high.
Yeah.
If you look at X now, the most active people who everyone fears dealing with are Kenyans on X.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing is, AI is something that we're using a lot. So on these things of AI companions, chatbots, you might think that it's not here with us now, but we'll get there.
Exactly.
In other countries, it's already happening, and it's a very major thing.
Exactly.
And like you've had the case in the US where it was ruled against a case against one of these organizations where a kid committed suicide because of just the interactions with AI tools.
Yeah. So that is a lot, my brother Jack, and I like that you're bringing now the conversation live here, that we need to be very cautious on what we need to do or how we need to interact with AI, okay? Yes. And God willing, that is now the trajectory that I want us to take, okay? The impact of artificial intelligence on us, all right? To parents who will be listening, what is the impact of AI to our children or even our parenting style? right? Wewe unatoka tu kazini, simu imechukuliwa na mtoto, you don't know what the kind of clicks they are pressing, all right? You find all your information is out there, okay? We will be talking about that because I can say our time is completely up, but I'll give you just 5 seconds to give your parting shot, Bwana Jack, and then Betsy will wind up as we conclude.
My parting shot is, I think, on this topic, we should be people who are more mindful of how we use technology. And even though we are bombarded with a lot of information, kindly, let's be people who allow ourselves to think. And most importantly, let's continue having the kind of social interactions that the generation of our parents had. It's very important.
All right. Betsy, your parting shot?
I think it's an interesting space to be in going forward, especially in terms of skills. I think the government should look at what skills gap. Although it's not going to replace a lot of our jobs because we are still informal, is to look at what skill gap is likely to be in the future. So things, especially around, interestingly, things like creativity will still be important, agility, moderation. So we'll still need humans in the loop.
Okay.
So it's to look at what gaps are coming up. And there's a report by the World Economic Forum by 2030, what are the gaps, and fill those gaps.
All right. Yeah. Thank you so much, Betsy. Thank you so much, Jack, for your time. And I'll request, if you have time again next week, you come so that we can continue this conversation because it is timely. But we'll talk. All right?
All right.
Thank you so much, my dear listener. That has been my time. Thank you so much for your company. Let's do this again tomorrow, God willing, to have a productive Monday. Kwaheri.
This is Radio Waumini 88.3